All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Daniel, I'm founder of Tiny Rig, and today we're going to do a electrical walk around. This is a Ford Maverick that is, it's pretty fun, honestly. It's not the typical Tiny Rig build. It's not your typical overland build, but we just drove the vehicle around to test some airbags we did on it, and it's kind of fun to drive. So we did quite a bit of electrical work on this truck in some different phases. We've done a previous video on this where we will highlight, you guys can go back and look at it, but we highlighted the electrical portion that we did. And then since then, the customer's added the truck vault and he's added the GFC topper onto it. So with that, he brought it back to us and we did some upgrades and some add-ons. So we'll start with the non-electrical stuff and then we'll spend some time diving into the electrical components and kind of why we choose those. And I'll talk a little bit about battery chemistry and whatnot. So let's start with the Prinsu roof rack. This is a drill rack. So the guys in the shop, dropped the headliner, made sure there's no issues with airbags, got that installed. Noah, I'm gonna have you jump in, grab some B-roll of the clean work that we did. But essentially we have that weather molding up here and the guys punched out a really, really nice clean hole for the Prinsu mounting spacer. And with that, we also added some Maxtrax Lites. This is a new product that Maxtrax has come out with fairly recently. We're using Maxtrax pins up there, and again, like proportional to the vehicle, it's pretty rad. They're really small, but they fit this extremely well. He also provided us with some solar panels to install. So these are Cascadia panels. Not a panel we've used before, but mounting to a roof rack, actually really cool form factor, very easy to mount. This customer has a really high attention to detail, which is why it's fun to work with him. And so one of the things that he asked us to do is to do a hardware swap. So unfortunately, Prinsu roof racks are known for having hardware that corrodes. And so we special ordered some stainless and black coated hardware for it. So we've swapped all of that stuff out so he doesn't have any corrosion issues. He does live pretty close to the water, so that stuff's usually exaggerated. Working our way back, we'll jump around to the other side of the vehicle and we'll show some of the wiring. So, we've had quite a few vehicles come to us after working with some other shops. And typically we're fixing things, or there's other things about working with those other shops that didn't meet the expectations of our customers. And so, although we might charge a little bit more, I think the attention to detail is proven once you see the end product that we get you. So one of the things I want to point out is the wiring back here for solar. So we ended up going between the cab, super stealth, hidden. Again, everything is sleeved, everything is labeled, and we used some grommets to get those in there cleanly. Those are the solar connections. The solar connections are going to the Red Arc BC-DC that we previously had installed for the customer. And we left an Anderson SB50 connection on there so that we could add that on in the future for him easily. He wasn't sure if he was gonna do fixed panels or portable, so we added that on. You can see it's the connection right there that has that bright blue zip tie tying the two Anderson connections together. Up to the right, we added a ARB single compressor. We debated going back and forth a little bit on the twin versus the single. We added airbags to this truck as well to compensate for the additional weight from the shell and this drawer back here. And so with that, we use the ARB compressor to be able to regulate the pressure in the bags. So again, really small tire on the truck. No reason to run a twin. And then we made that mounting bracket right there, all stainless hardware, bolting into the factory holes in the GFC, so we didn't need to drill for anything. We also wired up the Kingpin lights. So these are pretty cool lights. They're built extremely well, and they're on a swiveling bracket, so you can rotate them. And then they also have a built-in dimmer, which we can get you a shot of. So you have 3 of them in here. There's 3 dimmers. And then we did a master switch for him on the nightlight panel that he provided us. Now, again, like these are the things that I think we add a lot of value for customers when you come to us for an electrical build. Like we typically don't like working with products that you bring us, just because it's, you know, what we sell is higher quality, and we pride ourselves on not having very many vehicles come back to us. And so when he brought the vehicle back to us, there's actually a conversation around his red arc, or I'm sorry, not his red arc, his Battleborn battery being in fault mode and not working. And I told him, you know, when you bring it to us, like we've only had one of those ever happen, or had that issue happen once. I said, we'll go through it together. So what we found is that it wasn't an issue with the battery. The battery had plenty of voltage and was still operating great. It was all of the USB ports and 12-volt sockets that came on that inexpensive Nylite Amazon product. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to show you guys how clean the wiring is and how clean this compartment is. It's not an issue of things being damaged from water or anything like that, which is kind of what I would have expected. I thought maybe that enclosure got hammered from the wheel well, and it didn't. Everything looks just as when we left it and installed. It's actually sealed better than the bed itself. So we ended up swapping those all out for the ports that we use in the shop, that we've never once had an issue with. So those are like the little things that we try to look out for and help our customers with. And when he brought it back to me, he said, I know you warned me of this, after I showed him that ended up being the issue. But again, that's the little details that I want to stress. And you guys, if you follow us on Instagram, I've been tagging tiny details. And that is, I would say, truthfully, what sets us apart from the other shops that you're going to work with. Everything labeled, everything sleeved. So we're also going to provide this customer with a wiring diagram, which we're happy to do for any install that we complete for you. And with having everything labeled, it allows them to really understand the system. If you want to show them the dimmers, Noah, again, like we're labeling that stuff so that you guys know exactly what you're getting and kind of how to work with it. If you guys ever have an issue and you're on a trip and you need to roll up to another shop, I've had that happen once with a customer in Alaska. He had an issue with his battery not charging because he was camping in, I think it was like -20 degrees that night. And his red arc actually was not charging, but he was trying to troubleshoot the electrical system. So he rolled up to another shop. They opened everything up, and they called us to have me walk them through kind of what was going on. And the first thing they said was, "Holy crap, you guys do clean work. Thank you," because it made their lives easy. So when we do this stuff, guys, it's the intention behind it is that it's serviceable. You're not going to have issues with it. We're very thoughtful with it. We've never damaged a vehicle before with any of our electrical installs ever. You know, as far as people coming back and calling us for troubleshooting and whatnot, really, really rarely happens. I can count on one hand of the hundreds of builds that have left the shop. And I'll tell you right now, it's been 2 loose grounds in a camper after a substantial amount of washboard road. And the customer called us, no electrical experience. In the first case, none at all. She didn't even have tools. And she found another camper, asked if they had an Allen wrench. She pulled her electrical board down. And I said, hey, check this wire, which she was able to go look at a label. And I was able to have her tighten that bolt up, and never an issue since. So, you know, we have 100 amp hour Battleborn battery in here. We have phased out using Battleborn. Simply that we had a couple issues. I want to say there's been 2 issues with Battleborns, maybe one that we sold and one that was brought to us. I don't know the history of the one that was brought to us, so it's hard to say kind of the reason for it. It was bought used on Facebook Marketplace. But the support just wasn't, I would say, what we wanted. The rest of the components we use, you know, I can call Red Arc and get someone on the phone immediately and talk to them about it. Battleborn was a bit of a battle, no pun intended. That one got Noah. So with anti-gravity is what we switched to. The form factor and the capacity and the different options that are available with that system, I like a lot more. I also like the fact that the anti-gravity batteries have a built-in shunt. And so in this build, we have a Victron battery monitor that it gives you an external display that you can look at. Now, I tell people when we build an electrical system for you, you probably are not going to be staring at an app or a screen. If we spec the system right for you, you're going to plug stuff in and not think about it. You're not going to worry about your battery running out. We use a 50 amp DC charger in most of our builds, as long as the alternator allows for it. So there's a way to figure that out. I know there's concerns from an industry standpoint of overcharging batteries. We always check spec and follow best practice when it comes to that. So we're going to look at what's the alternator's capacity, and we're going to spec you a battery charger that is within, I would say, the proper parameters for what the vehicle is capable of doing. So we're not going to burn up an alternator. In the case of this Battleborn, we send a 50 amp charger to it whenever we can. So the other, I guess, reason why we switched over to anti-gravity is that form factor I mentioned, self-heating. So we can get you a 100 amp hour anti-gravity battery for the same price as the Battleborn, but it's heated. The terminal connections on there are really, really nice. The built-in battery monitor is really nice because we can eliminate a component that can occasionally have a syncing issue. You get a cell phone app that works on iOS devices. It does not work on Android. So if we do have a customer that has an Android phone, we end up speccing you with a Victron shunt. But all in all, this customer now has solar, he's got alternator charging, he can run his fridge full time back here on a 100 amp hour battery. Very, very likely we'll never see that battery drop below probably 80%. It's a small Dometic fridge, it's probably gonna be even better than that. And then with the LED lighting in there, it's not gonna do much. We'll get you guys some B-roll. We're also gonna provide a lot more content to you guys. We're gonna start an electrical series where we talk about different batteries, lithium versus AGM. For context, I have never installed an AGM dual battery setup at Tiny Rig. It's always lithium. The only exception to that would be if we need to put another battery in the engine bay and you don't have access outside, depending on how you camp, temperatures and whatnot, we might spec an AGM battery under the hood. But we'll get into that. We'll dive deeper into those details. We'll just get you guys some good B-roll of this, see the quality of the work we do, the attention to detail, and those tiny details I talked about. So please subscribe. We'll get that video series up there. We'll probably call it the tiny details or something like that. And we'll keep the videos coming. We've been getting a lot of good feedback from customers, or a lot of positive feedback. And we hope to have you guys here for an electrical install. People do ship us vehicles from other states to have us do that work for them, whether it's a camper, whether it's specifically electrical. We're happy to do all that stuff for you guys, and we'll do it really well. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.